This is how main items are shown on the report, and this is how sub-items connected to a main item are displayed. A door would be considered suitable to be entered as a main item in that it is a sizable element with a distinct purpose. However, a brass handle on the door could be said to be a part of the door, and thus we would recommend including it as a sub-item of a door. Other examples of items you could add as sub-items of a door might be door lock, door frame, etc. The same principle can also be used to create other kinds of item groups. For instance, you can add an item called walls and describe all the walls in a room under it, or even an item entitled furnishing and have a list of general room furnishings grouped inside, or a cupboard with not only the doors and shelves, but if you like, even the contents listed as sub-items. Note that, as with this last example of the cupboard, you can have sub-items of sub-items, the shelf being a sub-item of the cupboard, which is a sub-item of the furniture group, each group being indented below the item it is connected to. Ultimately, the use of main and sub-items is optional, and whether a particular item is included as a main item in its own right, or as a sub-item linked to another item, is up to the user. Any item can be added as a main item or a sub-item if desired. For instance, you could even say that a door is part of a wall, and indeed you could include the door as a sub-item of the wall if you wanted to. But although the distinction between main and sub-items is not always clear-cut with a hard and fast rule, nevertheless it is sometimes useful to visually group related items together, especially if they are physically connected and even form part of an item's functionality, like a handle or hinge being connected to a door. The various advantages of including, say, a brass handle as a separate though linked item, rather than just describing the handle as part of the general door description, are as follows. Firstly, it enables anyone to take in at a glance all the door accessories by glancing down a column rather than penetrating too deeply into the text. Secondly, it leads to shorter, more succinct descriptions and comments, with little or no need for punctuation and subclauses. These sentences are actually easier to write, as you won't be focusing on sentence arrangement, and they will also be read more easily and rapidly than a single long description or comment describing all aspects of the door. Thirdly, it enables anyone to see at a glance what element a comment is referring to, and it also enables photos to be cross-referenced more precisely. Still not convinced? Well then, fourthly, finally, and perhaps most importantly, it makes it easier for you, the inventory taker, to keep track of everything and fill out your descriptions without missing anything. And it's as fast or faster once you know how to do it. So if that's why we recommend listing fittings and contents etc. separately, why not keep them entirely separate? Why not include them as separate main items? Well, in brief, to include all items separately would not be ideal, as it would not always be clear at a glance what item a particular fitting was related to, and the report would be rather harder to browse. It's actually quicker to find a sub-item or any item if it's organized in related groups than by scanning one single level list. And once again, it actually makes it easier to ensure that all the items are duly recorded and described to add them as a distinct item in related groups. And when all is said and done, we think you'll agree that the linked item layout looks better too. Having said all this, as mentioned previously, there is nothing to stop you, the user, from ignoring this recommendation if you choose, because in point of fact, any item whatsoever can be included as a main item or a sub-item, as is demonstrated later in this video, and there is also nothing to stop the user from merely describing all aspects of the sub-items as part of a main item description. Now let's head back to our position on the item description form, editing an existing report.